Stop explaining yourself. Your brain is tricking you without even asking. Most people feel the need to justify every action, choice, and word, even when nobody asked. You think you're being polite or clear, but deep down, your mind is trying to protect you from judgment, from imagined criticism. The moment you stop explaining, people either respect you more or reveal their own insecurity. That tiny pause changes everything. From childhood, most people are trained to justify themselves. If you stayed quiet, someone asked why. If you didn't smile, someone demanded an explanation. If you made a choice that didn't match expectations, you were pressured to defend it. Over time, your brain learned a dangerous association. Silence feels unsafe. Not explaining feels like you're doing something wrong. So even as an adult, long after those authority figures are gone, your nervous system still reacts as if it needs permission to exist. That's why people explain themselves, even to strangers, even to people who have no power over them, even in situations where no explanation is required. The explanation comes out automatically, almost like a reflex. Before the conscious mind can stop it, the unconscious mind jumps in and says, "Let me justify myself so I don't get rejected." This is not confidence, it's self-protection. When someone is truly secure in their decisions, they don't rush to explain them, not because they're rude, but because they don't feel threatened by misunderstanding. They understand that not everyone needs context, approval, or access to their reasoning. But insecure minds feel exposed without explanation. Silence feels like standing naked in public. Notice how often people over-explain small things: why they were late, why they said no, why they didn't reply fast enough, why they chose one option over another. None of these explanations are required, yet they spill out. That's because the brain is trying to reduce anxiety, not increase clarity. It believes that if others understand your reasons, they'll judge you less harshly. But this belief is mostly an illusion. In reality, over-explaining often does the opposite. It signals uncertainty. It tells the other person that you're unsure about your own decision, that you're seeking validation, or that you're afraid of how you're being perceived. People may not consciously notice it, but unconsciously, they register it as lower confidence. And once that perception is formed, it subtly shifts the power dynamic. This is why people who explain themselves a lot often feel unheard, disrespected, or walked over. They think explaining will earn understanding, but it often invites questioning. The more reasons you give, the more room you create for others to challenge you. Silence, on the other hand, closes that door. There's also a deeper psychological layer here. Many people don't explain themselves to others, they explain themselves to themselves. The explanation is a way to convince their own mind that their choice was acceptable. It's self-assurance disguised as communication. When someone isn't internally convinced, they look for external confirmation. So they talk and talk and talk. People who grew up in unpredictable environments are especially prone to this behavior. When rules changed constantly or approval was inconsistent, explaining became a survival strategy. You learned that if you could just make your reasons clear enough, maybe you'd be safe, maybe you wouldn't be punished, maybe you'd be understood. That pattern doesn't disappear on its own. It follows you into adulthood unless you become aware of it. Another reason people explain themselves unnecessarily is the fear of being seen as wrong. Many individuals don't separate their actions from their identity. If their choice is questioned, they feel personally attacked, so they rush to defend the choice, because defending the choice feels like defending the self. This creates emotional reactions where none are needed. But psychologically strong people don't merge their identity with every action. They understand that being misunderstood is not the same as being wrong. They don't feel the need to manage everyone's perception of them. They let ambiguity exist. And that tolerance for ambiguity is a form of power. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is containment. It means you can hold your ground without filling the space with justification. Most people can't tolerate that space. It makes them uncomfortable because it forces them to sit with uncertainty, and uncertainty triggers the unconscious fear of rejection. That's why silence often makes insecure people nervous. When you don't explain yourself, they start projecting. They assume reasons. They fill the gap with their own fears. And sometimes, that projection turns into irritation or hostility. Not because you did something wrong, but because you didn't give them emotional control. Explaining yourself is often an attempt to control how others feel about you. But emotional control is never stable. The more you chase it, the more dependent you become on it. And the more dependent you become, the less free you feel. The irony is that most people don't actually listen to long explanations. They listen for confidence, not content. A calm decision delivered without justification feels solid. A shaky explanation delivered with urgency feels weak. This is why leaders, negotiators, and psychologically grounded individuals speak less, not more. This doesn't mean never explaining yourself. It means understanding why you're doing it. If your explanation comes from clarity, it will be brief. If it comes from fear, it will be long. The length of an explanation often reveals its emotional source. Once you start noticing this pattern, you'll see it everywhere. In conversations, in messages, in apologies that go on too long, in people justifying their preferences, boundaries, or emotions as if they need permission to have them. Most of the time, no one asked, but the explanation came anyway. Breaking this habit doesn't mean becoming cold or dismissive. It means learning to pause. To ask yourself a simple question: was an explanation requested, or am I trying to protect myself from imagined judgment? That pause alone can rewire the behavior. When you stop explaining yourself unnecessarily, something strange happens. People either respect you more or reveal their own insecurity. Some will push harder, trying to extract reasons. Others will back off, sensing confidence. Either way, you gain clarity about the dynamics around you. The need to explain is not a personality trait. It's a learned response. And anything learned can be unlearned, but only after it's seen clearly. Most people never see it. They live their entire lives narrating themselves to the world, hoping someone will finally say, "That makes sense." But psychologically grounded people don't wait for that sentence. They don't need it, and that's why they speak less and are heard more.